Hi, it's Mark Bosser, Top Local Lead Generation. We're here this morning with Mr. Bernie Pawlik. He's the owner of Pawlik Automotive, which is a 14-time winner of Best in Vancouver, as voted by their customer, Best Auto Repair Shop in Vancouver, BC. And Bernie, today we're going to be talking about Nissan Pathfinders. We're going to talk about the brake job that you've done on this Nissan Pathfinder. So I just was wondering, like, I understand you do a lot of brake repairs at your shop. What makes this brake service so interesting?
Well, thanks, Mark. That's a good question. So brake repairs, as you mentioned, they're a frequent service that we do at our shop. And working on Nissan Pathfinders is also a frequently serviced vehicle at our shop. But what's unique about this service was the severity of the wear of the front brakes. Our client had brought the brakes or the vehicle to us at the last possible moment before complete brake failure. These brakes, in fact, were so badly worn that the inboard brake pad had been ground away so thin that it actually slipped out of its mounting. I mean, it takes a long time to drive a car like this, making a lot of noise. The brake caliper pistons were now acting as the inboard brake pad, and the subsequent noise was absolutely hideous.
So wouldn't the owner have heard that kind of noise?
Well, yes, I would say absolutely. And that noise, I mean, I don't know how long it was going on for, but I would say that noise has been going on for a considerable amount of time. I've got a picture up here. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, so this is these are the brake caliper. This is a view of the brake caliper removed from its mounting. And the red arrows point to the brake caliper pistons. And you can notice the metal filings, just all the grinding there. I mean, that's supposed to be a nice smooth surface, and that's some of that metal that's flaked off there as part of the brake rotor. The yellow arrow also points to something interesting. That's the caliper dust boot, and those are supposed to. You can see a big hole there. There's a big hole there. So what happens is water gets in there and it'll destroy the brake caliper in a short hurry. So I mean, these calipers are beyond use, but even if they hadn't been ground and they had that hole, the caliper wouldn't be reusable anymore. So the repairs to this vehicle required, new brake pads, rotors, and calipers. And one thing about Pathfinder, they're pretty complex brake repair. The brake rotors it's called a captive brake rotor. You have to remove the wheel hub to actually take the brake rotor off. So it's quite labor intensive. And while we're doing it, we also repack the wheel bearings, put new hub seals in. So it's a full service. One thing we do at Pawlik Automotive is we always take the extra time to clean the wheel bearings and hubs before we repack them. And it's something that's a lot of shops don't take quite as much time as they could to do. Some shops will just kind of squeeze the grease out, put new grease in, and it still leaves a lot of dirt behind. So we take the time to make sure we do it thoroughly. It's just one of the advantages of the brake work we do. I'm going to share another photo here. These are some brake rotors. It's an interesting picture. Can you see them, Mark?
Yep.
Yeah. So these are some of the two bottom rotors are what we took off the vehicle, and the top one is a brand new one. The rotor on the left, this one had not, the brake pads had not gone metal on this side, but the surface you can see is just, there's not much shiny metal. It's mostly rust. This occurs over time, either from excess road salt, or maybe the caliper sticking and the brake pads not rubbing very well, or just plain old age. We see it from time to time. It doesn't give a very good stopping surface, so the brake pad can't really stop the vehicle all that well. And on the right side, this is our gouged out brake rotor. If you can see, there's very thick grooves of metal, and that's, some of the metal there is from the back of the brake pad, and others from the actual caliper piston itself. On top, that's a brand new shiny rotor, and you can see there's a nice full surface for a brake pad to push up against.
That worn rotor even looks like it's out of round on the brake surface.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they are. I mean, this will cause like horrible shakes and vibrations. And I mean, honestly, I don't know how people can drive a vehicle that long before they get the brakes fixed, but some people do. And yeah, so it's kind of crazy.
So what about the rear brakes?
Well, actually, the rear brakes in this vehicle weren't in too bad shape. Sorry, I'm just going to cut this picture off here. Get back to myself. Okay, so yeah, so the rear brakes in this vehicle were not we're actually in pretty good shape. Nissan Pathfinders, they use brake shoes and drums, and they don't wear very hard compared to the rest. The wheel cylinders, which actuate the brake shoes, weren't leaking, and the pistons were actually moving nice and freely. So there was a lot of dust, and the brake backing plates were rusted, and it needed service. So we did a back rear wheel service, so got the back brakes in good shape. And great news, after we did all the repairs, the vehicle stopped nicely. There was no bad noises, and the vehicle was safe again. So, like everything's repairable, but you definitely don't want to ever let your brakes get like this. I mean, it's downright dangerous. I mean, at any moment, those brake caliper pistons could have popped out and the brake pedal would have gone right to the floor, and there would have been, little braking of any sort in the vehicle. So that's our Nissan Pathfinder story for the day.
Great. So we've been talking with Mr. Bernie Pawlik. He's the award-winning owner of Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, BC, 14 times voted best auto repair in Vancouver. Bernie, thank you very much. And all you Pathfinder owners, get your vehicles in there for regular brake service. You can reach Pawlik Automotive at 604-327-7112. Thanks, Bernie.
You're welcome. Thanks, Mark.